Aside from the random feeling of insecurity about not bringing home a paycheck, they struggle with never-ending household chores and errands. Working moms, on the other hand, also have an occasional feeling of being not good enough, because even though they can help with the financial needs of the family, their work sometimes hinders them from spending time with their loved ones in return. We are moms like you. We understand all these, but the question is, why choose when you can have both? Be a work-at-home mom and enjoy bonding with your family without compromising your household finances. FHMoms is here to help you jumpstart your work-at-home career. With its fast-growing community of Filipino moms who are either aspiring or already working from home, partnered with its goal to help determined Filipino moms land a home-based job, you'll surely get the help that you need through its tools, guides, and advice readily available for you. Are you ready to work from home like us? We're here to assist you every step of the way. Check the Filipina Home-Based Moms page or join the group for more details. FH Moms. Moving forward, giving back.
Okay, so good evening again, everyone. Hello, mga mommies, mga titas. All right, so welcome to the third and the last part of our English grammar webinar. Right, so this is the last again because next week you are going to have Mommy Jackie of our she's our customer service trainer, and she'll be discussing more about English pronunciation and a lot of customer service stuff. Okay, so send us a comment below where you're from and how excited are you to be able to witness and learn some more English grammar rules for tonight. So for tonight, I've prepared topics specifically about adjectives, and also we are going to touch slightly about the use of articles and the. So hello again, everyone. I hope you're all having a great night. So, can comment below. Let's start in a few minutes. Comment below where you're from and how excited are you to be watching this last part. Again, there'll be a replay for this and as well as for I think the previous two sessions that we had. You can also still be able to watch them even if you were not able to catch them on live stream. Okay, so you'll still be able to get something from those sessions. All right, so let's start with our last session. So again, I'll be still talking about the common errors, not just by Filipinos, but I think by majority of us, because we are so used to hearing those things that sometimes we think because it's something that we commonly hear. And we also have the notion or the idea that, oh, it's okay, that is right, because I often hear that. But actually, okay, we really have to know the rules in order for us to be able to say that you're really confident when you deliver your speech or when you answer questions in interviews, or even if you're just like having a chit chat with your boss or your coworker. Okay, so for this evening, we will be learning the common errors in using adjectives and how should we correct them, right? Now, let's talk about first, okay? We are often confused, okay? Is it right to say more better? Is it more better? Is this house more smaller? Is it the most cheapest? Right? So sometimes when we encounter these expressions, we ourselves are confused if these are actually right. Okay, so now let's use them in sentences. Okay, so we would get to know more. Common error. The first one, you look more better today. Okay, so more better. Actually, this is not the correct sentence because the correct sentence should be you look better today. So you don't have to use more anymore already, but you don't have to use more in your sentence. Better. That is already the right expression to use, right? Grace is more shorter than me. Maybe for others it may sound okay, but actually in grammar rules, okay, that is not considered correct. You only say Grace is shorter than me, right? So no need to use more because you already used shorter. The third one, who is more prettier, Jane or Anna? Right. So again, we often hear this. So we thought, oh, maybe that's right. But again, this is incorrect because the right way to say this is who is prettier, Jane or Anna? So only prettier. No need to use more. Okay. My sister has always wanted a more easier job. Okay, again, you already used more and then you also used easier. Okay, this is incorrect because the right way to say this is my sister has always wanted an easier job. So, easier is already enough, right? To explain what you mean that something, okay, is easier or this job is easier compared to one another. So, no need to add more and easier together. Let's understand the rules in grammar, right? Let's talk about comparative adjectives, right? The examples I gave earlier, they're all comparative adjectives, meaning we compare, right? We compare like two nouns. We compare two people. We compare two things or two places. So you compare them. So remember, the rule in grammar says for short adjectives, meaning that's just one syllable, okay, then we use er. So examples of adjectives which are short or which have one syllable. For example, when we say short, so we only say shorter. You don't say more shorter. Okay. If you say big, then bigger. There's no need to say more bigger. Tall, taller. Okay. So remember, just one syllable, just add er. We learned this when we were in elementary school, right? But then, because we don't often use English in our daily lives, maybe except if you work as an ESL teacher, you work in a call center industry, then you would often use English. But in our daily lives, that's why we get confused because we already have forgotten those rules that we learned when we were in school. So, example sentences. Their car is bigger than ours. So just say bigger, no need to say more bigger. We want to stay in a cheaper hotel. So cheaper, that is already enough. Don't say more cheaper. Mark is taller than his older brother. So taller, that is already correct. You don't have to say more taller, right? So for long adjectives, meaning two syllables or more, so this time, this is when we use more. So example of long adjectives, there's actually a lot, like excited, interesting, right? Beautiful. Therefore, we say more interesting, more excited, more beautiful. So for long adjectives, then we use more together with those long adjectives in our sentences. Let's take some examples. You look more beautiful today. We only use more because beautiful is such a long adjective. It's kind of awkward to say beautifuler, right? So therefore we say more beautiful. We're looking for a more reliable secretary this time. More reliable. So reliable. It's quite long, 4 syllables. Therefore we use more. Amy wants a more expensive gift for her birthday. So expensive is already a long adjective. Therefore, more is used in our sentence. Right? So remember, you only have to choose one. If it's short, then just use ER. If it's long, then just use more. Do not combine both. Okay? Now, however, there are some adjectives, examples of these are those adjectives with 2 syllables, right? So with these adjectives, you can actually either use ER, you can choose ER, or you can use more. Both are considered correct, right? So example or common examples of these adjectives are clever, narrow, quiet, shallow, and simple. So that is why sometimes you can hear people saying like quieter, or others would say more quiet, right? Narrower or more narrow. Because there are certain adjectives that they are acceptable. If they have 2 syllables, they are acceptable to use either ER or more. It doesn't matter, right? Let's take some examples. First, we all want to live somewhere quieter or more quiet. You can choose either. Can you make a simpler or more simple report? Again, it doesn't matter which you use. But if you ask me, right, which is more common? More common, of course, is with the word more. So when you hear more quiet, more simple, more clever, more shallow, they are commonly used compared to just adding ER to these words, right? The next one, there are also adjectives that end in Y, like pretty, sexy, right? Lovely. So for these adjectives, what we do is we change Y to IER. Examples: your sister is funnier than you. So we change Y of funny to IER, so funnier. So you don't have to say more funnier. Just funnier, okay, is already correct. All right. And then the next one we have, the clothes here are prettier than the ones from the other shop. So prettier, right? So from the word pretty, so we just change the Y to IER. That's prettier. Okay, so again, no need to say more prettier. Maybe some of you would ask, so why is it that sometimes we hear, or we can often hear or see like much instead of more? They would say much prettier, much funnier, much bigger, so much more delicious. Okay, so in those expressions, much is actually correct. Okay, so much there is used to tell us the degree, how big is the difference. Like if you say, she is much prettier than her sister. So, meaning the difference, how pretty is she compared to her sister? Okay, so the difference is really big because much prettier, right? If you say, I live in a much bigger house now, much bigger house. So, meaning the size difference of my house now compared to my house before is really really big. The difference is really big. If I say, the food here is much more delicious compared to the other restaurant, so meaning if you talk about the taste here is really really good, while in the other restaurant maybe it was just so so. So the difference is really big. So in that case, then much is correct. But we cannot combine more and er together. More prettier, more bigger. No, that's not right. But much, that is correct. If you want to emphasize, you want to show how big is the difference, okay, or how much is the difference when you compare two objects or two people or two places. All right? Next, there are also a few adjectives. Actually, there are two, okay? Adjectives that have irregular comparative forms. When we say irregular, just like with verbs, they do not follow a certain rule on how we form them. So it could be that their spelling change, okay? The spelling of the words changes, so you just have to remember them because there's no specific rule for that. Examples of these adjectives are good, because we don't say gooder, all right, we say good becomes better. Bad, we don't say better, rather we say worse. So maybe some of you would ask, but why is it in movies? Sometimes we get to hear actors saying badder or baddest, right? But again, those are just for movies, okay? And then for other people, then they would use it as like an excuse. It's slang. So in that case, maybe for them it's acceptable, right? But for if you're really following English grammar rules, then it's only good and better, then bad is worse. Okay, let's take some example sentences. This design is better than the other one. Better. Okay, so we don't say this design is gooder. No, we say better. You don't say more better. Again, just use one that's better. We cannot combine both. But if you want to talk about the degree of the difference, it's really big, then you say much better. This design is much better than the other one. Then that is right. Okay? Their coffee tastes worse than the one from the cafeteria. So in this case, we say worse, right? Because we compare the taste of the coffee here compared to the ones in the cafeteria, then we should say worse. You don't say better. If you want to really emphasize how strong, how big is the difference, then you can say much worse. That is correct. Okay, so of course the opposite of much, because much meaning that the difference is big, right? Then you can say a little. So if you say um, she is a little prettier than her sister. Okay, so meaning the difference is not really that much, okay, just a little prettier. So a little better. So meaning the difference is not really that big, then it's just that. It's not also um that small, okay? But then I mean the difference, you're just want to emphasize how big is the difference. Is it big or small? Then you can use much or little, right? So let's talk about now the common errors. We learned the comparative adjectives. This time, let's talk about the superlative form. Okay, let's talk about common errors. First, the first one, you have most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. Most beautiful, that is actually wrong. We have to say the most beautiful. Okay. So, number two, I think she is the most cutest in her class. So, we only say the cutest, right? Again, we do not, just like more, we do not combine. Just choose one. So, if it's most beautiful or the most beautiful, don't say the most beautifulest. That is wrong. Just say the most beautiful or the cutest, right? The third one, this is the most tallest building I've ever seen. Again, we don't say most tallest, right? Just say the tallest building I've ever seen. And the last one, what is the most richest country in the world? Again, you did not combine, all right? No need to use most. Richest would be enough. So you say, what is the richest country in the world? Right? So the richest. Let's talk about the rules. So remember, we're now talking about the superlative forms of adjectives, right? So earlier, comparative, we only compare like two objects or two people, right? Two places. With a superlative, you compare one object, one person, okay, one place, compared to a lot, okay? So if comparative, it's ER, the superlative, it's EST. Again, we learned this when we were back in school, but nowadays, because we don't commonly use them, so we tend to get confused in how we use them in our sentences, right? Now, let's talk about short adjectives. Again, one syllable. So we use EST. Therefore, you say, they live in the biggest city in our country. The biggest. Only biggest. No need to say most biggest. We want to stay in the cheapest hotel in this island. So, cheapest. You don't have to say most cheapest. Mark is the tallest among his brothers. So, there is already EST. So, no need to say most tallest, just tallest. All right? And for long adjectives, just like with the comparative, wherein we use more, okay, this time we use most. Therefore, you say, you are the most beautiful woman in my eyes. So, the most beautiful. We're looking for the most reliable employee in the company. So, the most reliable, right? Amy wants the most expensive bag for her birthday. So we say the most expensive, right? So they're long adjectives. Remember, just use most, right? Simple. You don't have to like memorize it. It's short EST. If it's long, then most, right? Next, for those two syllable adjectives, remember them earlier? So you can again choose either to use EST or most in your sentences. So again, examples of this, we have clever, narrow, quiet, shallow, and simple. Example sentences, we all want to live in the quietest or in the most quiet neighborhood, right? So again, which is more common? Most quiet. This is the simplest, or this is the most simple report you've ever made. So it doesn't matter if you want to use the simplest or most simple, that is okay. But the most simple, okay, again, would be more commonly used, right? And for adjectives ending in Y, just like in comparative earlier, we just change Y to IEST. So you say your sister is the funniest in your family. So funniest, funny, funnier, funniest, right? So no need to say most funniest, just funniest. That is fine. The clothes here are the prettiest in the whole mall. So the prettiest, no need to say the most prettiest. Prettiest would be enough, and your sentence is already correct. Right. So remember the irregular adjectives earlier, good, better. The superlative becomes best. Okay. For bad, the comparative is worse, and the superlative is worst with a T sound. So good, better, best, bad, worse, worst. Right? They're just easy to remember, right? So examples. This design is the best in this batch. So the best. No need to say the most best. No, just say the best. Their restaurant is the worst in our area. So the worst. No need to say the baddest or the most worst. No, just say the worst. That is already enough. Okay? But here's a note that you have to remember. When we use the superlative form, always remember that we use the in our superlative or together with our superlative form. This is to show that there is only one of something. That is why even earlier we say the tallest, the tallest among his brothers. So the. Why? Because there's only one really, really tall guy among his brothers, and that's him, right? If we say their restaurant is the worst in our area, the worst. Why the? It's because there is only one really, really bad restaurant, and that is their restaurant, right? If you say this design is the best in this batch, so the best, there is only one really, really good design among all the maybe the hundreds of designs, okay, in this batch. There's only one. So that's the best. So we say the best. Okay, so keep that in mind. We use the together with our superlative adjectives. The tallest, the most expensive, okay, the prettiest, the most quiet. So the always goes together with superlative adjectives. Okay, next. So still about adjectives. So I hope that with the comparative and the superlative now, maybe, all right, your memory, okay, of those rules have been freshened up, and then you already now remember, okay, those rules, and this time you'll be able to make better, or maybe we should say correct sentences, right? Now another adjective, I think, form of adjective that many of us are also confused, it's with the use of the ing, right? Or the ed. For example, boring or bored. You're not really sure which one is the right thing or the right word to use to describe something or how you feel. For example, should I say I'm bored, I'm boring, right? There are many of them. Excited, exciting, right? So let's talk about this one so we would understand when do we use the ing and when do we use ed, right? Now let's talk about adjectives ending in ed and ing. I've listed some examples there. That's just five of them, but there's actually really a lot. So bored, there's boring, interested, interesting, excited, exciting, tired, tiring, depressed, depressing. Right. Now let's talk about adjectives ending in ed first. Okay. So remember, if you are talking about how somebody feels, okay, how you feel, how another person feels, okay, talking about feelings, then we have to use ed. Okay, so remember that, how you feel, so it should be ed. Let's take the example sentences. I was so bored last weekend because of the power cut or the power interruption. Or commonly in the Philippines, we just call it brownout, right? So power cut. I was so bored. Bored is my feeling. How did I feel last weekend? Bored. Are you excited for your birthday? Excited. Okay. Again, this is how you feel about something. So you are excited about your upcoming birthday. So this is your feeling excited. A lot of people are depressed nowadays because of the pandemic. So depressed, we are again talking about how those people feel, their feelings. So we say depressed, ed. All right? Let's compare it with the ing this time. Adjectives ending in ing, they actually tell you about something or somebody. So when you want to describe another person, okay, or maybe a thing, then we use ing with our adjectives. So example, it was such a boring movie. So boring here describes the movie, not how you feel, but we describe something, which is the movie, right? The hike to the mountain was really exciting. So, exciting here is actually describing, right? The experience of hiking to the mountain. So it has nothing to do with your feeling, okay, how you feel, but we're talking about the activity of hiking. The news that we received this morning was depressing. So, depressing here, we are actually describing the news that we received this morning, right? Depressing here is not talking about how you feel, okay, but rather it's talking about the news. So, again, remember ED, bored, tired, excited, okay, fascinated, all those ED adjectives, we use them to describe how you feel. But ing adjectives like boring, tiring, frustrating, depressing, we use them to describe something or somebody, one thing or one person or a group of people or a group of things. All right? Let's compare them so we can understand clearly. Let's take the first two sentences. Bob is bored at work. His job is really boring. So when we say Bob is bored at work, bored here describes Bob, how he feels, right? So maybe Bob's job, he's just in front of the computer that's from 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock every day, Mondays to Fridays. So he doesn't have the chance to like have some time to chat with his coworkers. He really has to stay in front of his computer because that's his function at work, okay? So he also wants to socialize, but his job does not allow him to do that. So we say Bob is bored at work. That's how he feels, right? If you say his job is really boring, then boring this time talks about his job. So boring describes his job. Okay. So meaning his job is not exciting. Okay. Meaning every day, like let's say he does financial reports. So that's every day. He's just in front of his computer looking at numbers, okay, with his calculator and with his all the records. So his job is really boring. He doesn't get the chance to meet other people. So we are describing his job, okay, as boring. But his feeling, we we say he is bored. Okay? The next two sentences. I'm interested in the national history of each country. While the second sentence, the historical artifacts in the museum are interesting. So here, I'm interested. So here, ed here talks about your feeling. Okay, how do you feel when you hear about national history? Okay, when you visit a new place, I'm interested. Okay, meaning I want to know more, okay, about their national history. So interested, ed, that's how you feel. Here, if you say the historical artifacts are interesting, interesting describes something, okay, or things in the sentence, historical artifacts. So there are actually a lot of historical stuff, okay, in that museum, okay, and for me, I want to describe those things, okay, so I use interesting. I use the ing, not interested, because I'm talking about them, the things. So ing is the adjective that I use, right? And the last two sentences, we are all excited to go on vacation next month. And we are planning to visit a lot of exciting places in Korea. Okay, so we are all excited. So ed, again, we're talking about our feelings. Okay, so for example, okay, just imagine, okay, example, there's no COVID right now, okay, there's no pandemic, so we are all excited. It's how we feel because next month we're going on vacation. Our feeling is excited. But if you say we are planning to visit a lot of exciting places. So, exciting here this time describes places. It tells us about those things or those places. What are they? They are exciting places in Korea. Because I often watch, example, only, okay? I often watch K dramas, okay? I've seen a lot of beautiful places there, okay? And I think they're really exciting to visit. So I describe the places in Korea as exciting. Okay? So again, ed to describe how you feel, and ing when you want to describe somebody or something. All right? Okay. So I hope you were able to learn something, okay? With that, with the ed and with the ing adjectives. Again, a more detailed discussion about these rules with adjectives, again, so much more. You can actually learn them if you take part in the ESL and online teaching training course here in FHMoms. Okay, so do not. I think okay because a lot of moms would have this idea in mind that, oh, I have no plans of teaching, so why would I join the ESL training? So in the ESL and online teaching course here in FH Moms, it's not just about the teaching style that you will learn, okay, or you will develop your skills, but more of it is really to improve your English skills, right? Because how can you deliver your lessons if you plan to become an ESL teacher if you are not that confident with your English skills, right? In the first place. So, whatever it is that you plan to take on as a job later on, an ESL teacher, okay, or if you want to just teach your kids, but the ESL and online teaching course would actually really give you a strong foundation when it comes to grammar, pronunciation, and it's like an overall English skills that you need to survive, perhaps, or to excel in this home-based or online industry. Okay. Now, moving on, still with adjectives. Some of us are also confused, okay? Which one should I use? Should I say, I have a 2 years old son, or I have a 2 year old son? Hmm. So which one is correct? 2 years old son or 2 year old son? Others would argue, of course, 2 years old. Kasi two na siya. Okay? So more than one. So we say years old. Right? We will know. Okay? In a while. Let's compare. My son is 2 years old. My son is 6 years old. Of course, kung one pa lang yung son mo, then you say, my son is 1 year old, right? Pero pag two and up na, then you say, my son is 2 years old, 10 years old, 6 years old. We say years old. That is correct, right? My son is 2 years old. However, if your sentence structure becomes different and you have a noun after the like the number and or the age, the number, which when you talk about money, okay, the structure becomes different. You say, I have a 2 year old son. So this time, we do not say, I have a 2 years old son. Hindi na po natin nilalagay yung S. Okay? Nawawala na siya. Why? Because 2 year old here, actually, it acts like an adjective in a sentence. It describes kasi may noun siya after. Okay? So, if you introduce yourself like in an interview that you have and your interviewer asks you, okay, so can you tell me something about yourself? So, introduce mo naman ang self mo, di ba? Okay, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm a full-time mom and I have a 2-year-old son. Yan yung tama. You don't say, I have a 2 years old son. Hindi po. We say, I have a 2-year-old son. Kasi, ginamit natin ang noun. We have a noun after son, right? So, no need to put S. Kasi nga, this acts as your adjective describing your noun, son. Alright? Pero pag iba naman yung sentence mo, ito yung una ang ginamit mo, my son is 2 years old. Tama siya. Because, look at it, there is no noun after. Yung son mo nandito sa subject mo. Alright? Let's take another example or two more examples to make it easier to understand. Do you have 100 pesos? Right. So, kasi yung common error din sa ating mga Pinoy is we say, I have 1 pesos. No, 1 peso lang siya. Hindi na siya pesos kasi 1 lang, diba? $1. Okay? So, we don't say $1. So, again, pag 1 lang siya, don't put S. Just use a singular. 1 peso, $1. Okay? If it's a lot, then you say 100 pesos. 200 pesos, 5 pesos, $5, $10, etc. Okay? This is correct. However, if you use another structure, kung saan you want to use a noun after the amount, then you say, do you have a 100 peso bill? So, dito na, hindi na siya nagiging pesos. Alright? Rather, it becomes 100 or 100 peso bill kasi there is a noun after. May noun na bill. So, no need to put S with your peso kasi this acts as your adjective. Right? The last one, we have a training for 5 weeks. So dito sa FHMoms, if you take part in the ESL and online teaching course, so the training is for 5 weeks, right? We have a training for 5 weeks. Or if you want to change the structure of your sentence, then you say we have a 5-week training. So no need to say 5 weeks training. Again, hindi na natin nilalagyan ng S. It's because we use a noun after and 5-week here becomes an adjective that describes your noun training. Alright? So this is a gentle reminder, okay? Kasi I can often hear this like when they talk about, especially when they talk about their children, right? When they talk about their experience at work or their school or their university, then when you talk about a number and then if there's a noun after, kahit na plural pa siya, do not put an S anymore because the function changes. It becomes an adjective that describes the noun that comes after that. Alright? So, now, for the last part of this training, or this, not really training, but a series of webinar, I really want to touch kahit na slight lang on this topic. And the. Kasi I think there are many of us who are confused. When do we use When do we use the in our sentence? Okay? This topic that I'll be discussing tonight is, I should say, not even like 1/8, okay, of the discussion of articles kasi there are so many rules that govern the usage of and the. Okay? Pero what I'll be giving you tonight would be something that I know it could also be very helpful for you guys because I often encounter these errors among people that I talk to or people that I listen to or even when I read, okay, posts on social media. So I'll be discussing just something general about this one. Okay, so the articles and the. Okay, so remember, singular nouns with singular nouns. Remember, I mentioned this before, singular nouns, yung isa lang sila, diba? Just one. So, singular nouns in our sentences they cannot stand alone in a sentence. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na, um, sorry, table is big. We cannot say table is big. No, we have to say the table is big, right? We cannot say, I read book. Did. It's still wrong. We have to say, I read a book. Okay? So, singular nouns, just always remember that we always use and or the with them. Okay? So, you just have to keep in mind, singular lang siya. Magkaiba sila with uncountable nouns, yung mga hindi natin nabibilang, right? And the plural nouns, yung marami sila. So, we will focus our discussion tonight with singular nouns, okay? Meaning just one. So, alam ko, we learned this in school again. We use a plus consonant and plus the vowel, right? Pero, hindi na-discuss natin na actually, it's not the letter that you look at. Rather, it's the sound. Okay? So, it should be a plus the consonant sound and an plus the vowel sound. I'll give you examples later on para mas clear sa inyo. Okay? Let's take the simple ones first. So, therefore, we say a woman, a car, a watch, a boss, right? For the vowel sound, we say an apple, an egg, an order, an elephant. So, they're easy, right? Madali sila. Kasi nga, consonant lang eh. And then vowel eh. Diba? Pero, let's compare. Look at these examples below. The first line, okay, so both of them start with an H, pero yung pronunciation nila are different, okay? So for this one, the first one, we say a house, house, right? So with the H sound, so a house. Consonant sound, house, so we say ah. Pero look at the second word. It is spelled with an H. Pero yung pronunciation niya is actually silent H. Remember last time I said hour, oras, right? An hour. So dahil nga we listen to the vowel sound, hour, so hindi natin binabasa yung H, we only say an hour. Right? So, alam na, pag vowel sound, then we use an. Kahit na H pa siya sa beginning kasi we're talking about the sound. That's why we say an hour. Right? The same with the next one. An umbrella. It starts with a U. Therefore, we know it's a vowel. So we say an umbrella. Tama. Right? So an umbrella. But look at the second example. Okay. It also starts with a U, right? Pero yung pronunciation niya is unicorn. It's with a Y sound. So therefore, kahit na letter U ang beginning niya because the pronunciation or the sound is a consonant with a Y, therefore we say a unicorn. Alright? A university, for example. So, yun. Yung pronunciation kasi Y-U, unicorn, university. Therefore, we use the article with them. Okay? And the last one there, an orange. Okay, madali siya. Kasi nga, orange, right? It's a vowel. But look at the other one. 1 week training. It also begins with an O, pero yung pronunciation niya is with a W, right? A W. A W, so wa. Consonant sound, that's why we say a 1 week training. Right? So 1 with a W sound, consonant, therefore we use the article a. Okay? So going back to what we learned in school, with a consonant, but it should be the consonant sound. Okay, not the letter. An plus the vowel, not just the letter, but it should be the vowel sound. Right? So remember these, okay? Because you might be confused. Why is it that she's saying an hour, okay? That hour is with an H or a unicorn. Why because it's a U. It has something to do with the sound or the pronunciation of the word. Right? Right. So, when do we use now, okay, or an, compare it with the? So remember, or an, we use it when you are not thinking of something specific, meaning just any, right? There is nothing particular, wala kang iniisip na isang particular na bagay or object or place, okay? So nothing really specific. But the, okay, you're thinking of something specific, okay? So, pag meron ng specific sa isip mo. Let's take the example sentences so we can understand them better. Let's take the first two. I want to have a car. Ang ginamit ko sa sentence. Why a car? Kasi, in my mind, I'm not really thinking of a specific brand. I'm not thinking of a specific color. Okay? Wala yung size. Wala talaga. Just any car. Kasi I want to travel or I want to go around my city without like getting worried of taking the public transportation. So I want to have a car. So we say a car, right? If you say, I will clean the car later, okay? So pag sinabi na natin the car, this time you're already thinking about something specific. Which car? Yung car namin. Alright? So, the car na yung ginamit ko. Kasi, I'm already thinking or I have a specific car in mind. Okay? The car in our house or our car. Alright? Another example. James sat on a chair. On a chair. Bakit Kasi, any chair lang ang inupuan ni James. Right? So, hindi siya particular. Kahit anong kulay, kahit anong size. Okay? Kahoy ba siya? Plastic ba siya? Sat on a chair. Just any chair. Is it the chair near the door? Near the window? Is it the chair in the middle? It doesn't matter. Just any chair. Basta he sat down on a chair. Alright? But if you say, James sat on the chair near the window, this time, the na ang ginamit natin because we already have a specific chair in mind. Okay? Which chair? Yung chair that is near the window. Right? So again, dito sa isip natin, specific na the chair, yung chair na pinakamalapit sa pintana. Right? And the last one, Carl is looking for a job. Okay, so kahit sino sa atin, right? We're looking for a job perhaps. So, a job. Hindi tayo choose. Kahit anong job, right? As long as it's home-based. As long as we get to spend time with our family without really going out and like enduring the traffic, okay, and getting the risk of getting infected. So a job, any job, it could be a voiced or a non-voiced job. It could be an admin um kind of work, okay, or customer service related, whatever it is. So, a job. Nothing really specific in mind. But if you say, did Carl get the job you offered him? So, the job, this time, ginamit na natin ang the, it's because we are talking about a specific job. Which job? Yung job na inoffer mo kay Carl. For example, your company is currently hiring or looking for a finance manager, okay, or a finance officer. So that time, because Carl was looking for a job, so you offered him that job. So, get the job done ang ginamit natin because we are already thinking of a specific job or we have this job in mind. Yung job na in-offer mo being a finance officer in your company. Alright? So, I hope na nakatulong yan sa inyo. Just keep in mind, or an, we have nothing really specific in mind. Any, okay? Anything, any item, okay? Any place. So you can say a boy, a sandwich, a table, right? But if you already have something in mind specifically, then it changes. It becomes the boy, the sandwich, right? So when I talk about a friend who gave me, okay, something for lunch, then I can say, let's try one more example. My friend, let's say my friend's name is Amy, okay? So Amy gave me a sandwich for lunch. A sandwich. So, any sandwich, ano ba yun? Basta sandwich yun, okay? Cheese ba yun? Tuna ba yun? Basta a sandwich, okay? And then I want to continue talking about that sandwich. Now it becomes specific already. Okay, then I can say the sandwich was really delicious. Naging da na siya. Why? Because in my mind, I'm already thinking of specific sandwich. Yung sandwich na binigay ni Amy for me during lunch. Right? So that's it about articles. Actually, like I said earlier, that's not even the 1/8, okay, of all the rules that govern the use of articles. Kasi napakarami pa niyan. Why is it we use the with the Philippines? We don't use the with Korea or Japan. But why is it that we say the United States of America? Bakit kung America, America lang? There is no the. Okay, those rules, okay, are actually explained really thoroughly. Okay, and it's really, it takes like 3 parts or 4 parts of our grammar module in the ESL and online teaching course here in FHMoms. Okay, so that's it, guys, for our webinar for tonight. So if there are any questions, we still have some time to answer and entertain some questions. So there's one here who asked when and how can I watch the previous sessions. All right. So I think you can just go over the FH Moms page, and the previous sessions that we had are they're all posted there. Okay. Try to search on it. So the ESL webinar. So we this is already the third part. Monday we had one, and then Wednesday we had the second, and this is the third one. Right? So including this one, there will still be a replay of this, so you can still get to watch if ever hindi nyo po naabutan yung first part of tonight's discussion. Alright? So, okay. Anything else that you want to ask? You can leave us a comment para sa questions ninyo. I really hope, mga mommies, mga titas, that for these 3 sessions that we had, at least naman we were able to help you. And maybe you can already start making those corrections when you are still in the process of like creating your resumes, or when you're preparing for your interviews, okay, or when you write your cover letters. So I really hope na you can apply all those topics that we discussed here, or kahit na nga sa personal, okay, personal applications na lang ninyo, like when you post on your Facebook pages, right? Like may English post kayo, at least this time you'll be more confident with how you express yourself in English. Right? So, comment your questions kasi we still have time before I go on to my live training session with my trainees for tonight after this. So, yeah, huwag niyo nang sayangin ang chance. Ask your questions now so we can still answer them. So, yung... Mhm. Let's try to check, read on if there are still others who are asking. So again, yung replay, you can still watch it. And then for others, okay, for the past sessions, again, you can search on them here sa FHMoms na page. And if you're interested, you want to enroll in our ESL and online teaching course, as well as open din yung ating general VA course, and as well as the customer service. There's also a link posted, so you can choose and enroll to any of those three courses that will, or yeah, those three will run next month, okay, October, until the end of this year. So, okay, there's a question. Which is correct? An ant or a ant? All right. So, kasi, again, you have to check, right? Ano yung sound niya? Is it a vowel or a consonant sound? So, ant, right? So, you say an ant. So again, nagiging a lang siya kung consonant sound. Just like earlier, yung unicorn at university kasi hindi na siya pronounced with an sound, okay? Or like umbrella, okay? So in that case, nagiging U na siya with a Y sound. So it becomes unicorn, university. Pero with ant, okay, kasi clear naman na vowel sound siya. Therefore, we say an ant. Okay? Anything else that you want to ask? Wala na po. Siguro clear na naman lahat, diba? You're able to understand clearly all the things that we discussed tonight. And I just really hope that meron talaga kayong napulot na something. Okay? How about the use of go, going, come, coming? Okay. So when you say go, okay, the ant. Yung title naman, okay, later na yung the ant, okay? So, how about the use of go, going, come, and coming? Okay, so actually, it depends, okay, on where the speaker is. Kasi I think the confusion with go and come, okay, is when do we use them? Is especially or specifically when we talk about come back and go back, right? So actually it depends kung nasaan yung speaker. Okay? So gawin natin more specific. Si go back tsaka si come back. Okay? So kung ako ngayon, I'm in the Philippines, okay? I'm talking to my let's say Korean friend, okay? She has been staying in the Philippines for 3 years already. And actually, plano niya nang bumalik ng Korea. But then, because of the pandemic, okay, my friend was not able to go. Okay. So, if I'm talking to her now and she's here with me in the Philippines, then my question would be this. When are you going back to Korea? We say going. pupunta siya ng Korea. Okay? Going back. Wala pa siya sa Korea. She's here in the Philippines. Now we say going back to Korea. Right? Pero, for example, ako yung nanay niya, ng friend niya. Okay? Nandito ako ngayon sa Korea. Tapos, siya nasa Pilipinas. She's in the Philippines. So, I am in Korea right now. So, I'm calling her and my question for her is, when are you coming back? So, coming back na yung ginamit ko kasi nandito ako sa Korea. Right? So, again, the use of go or come depends on where the speaker is. So, go kung wala ka doon sa place that you're talking about. Come if nandun ka. So, going back to Korea, wala kami sa Korea. If I say coming back to Korea, kung nandito kami sa Korea ngayon. Alright? So, I hope that helps. Earlier, I also saw a question about the title of The Ant, right? Maybe yung kwento ng The Ant and the Grasshopper, right? So, again, kasi title naman siya. Okay, so for works of literature, meron kasi silang parang excuse. No naman. They have their own it's like a license for them to use, okay? Kasi nga it's a work of literature. So they are free to use. That's why sometimes kahit na mga poems, okay, they don't follow the strict grammar rules. Kasi nga sasabihin na it's my work, it's a work of art or literature, so they don't follow. Pero depende din sa author kasi choice niya kung anong title ang gusto niyang ilagay sa book niya or sa story niya, kahit sa kanta, 'di ba? So, The Ant and the Grasshopper. So, pwedeng sabihin ng author kasi I'm talking about a specific ant. Okay? Yung ant na mahilig mag-save ng food. Okay? So, yun. Naging specific siya. Or whatever reason the author has, kasi sa kanya naman yun, he has the license for that. So, we say, it's okay. The ant or the grasshopper. Okay, so anything else? Meron pa bang pahabol na tanong before I say goodbye to you guys? And hopefully, the question there's, I think that was already addressed last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, the last session that we had, we discussed the differences between there, within THERE, there na THEIR, yung there's na there is, yung it, tsaka it's, okay? You can check and watch again the live session or the live webinar we had last Wednesday. Search on it sa page ng FHMoms and you will know the answers to those questions. All right? So nothing else? All right. So I guess that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much. I hope naman kahit konti you learned something, okay, tonight. And I'm also looking forward to maybe meeting some of you in the upcoming batch. This coming October for the ESL and online teaching course here in FHMoms. Okay? Thank you so much. And maybe, who knows, hopefully in the future, we'll still have another series, okay? Grammar series, and we'll be discussing more grammar topics with you guys. Okay? Thank you so much. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Every mom has her own struggles. For most stay-at-home moms, aside from the random feeling of insecurity about not bringing home a paycheck, they struggle with never-ending household chores and errands. Working moms, on the other hand, also have an occasional feeling of being not good enough, because even though they can help with the financial needs of the family, their work sometimes hinders them from spending time with their loved ones in return. We are moms like you. We understand all these, but the question is, why choose when you can have both? Be a work-at-home mom and enjoy bonding with your family without compromising your household finances. FHMoms is here to help you jumpstart your work-at-home career. With its fast-growing community of Filipino moms who are either aspiring or already working from home, partnered with its goal to help determined Filipino moms land a home-based job, you'll surely get the help that you need through its tools, guides, and advice readily available for you. Are you ready to work from home like us? We're here to assist you every step of the way. Check the Filipina Home-Based Moms page or join the group for more details. FH Moms. Moving forward, giving back.